Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another video. Today, I have a really interesting four-way election prediction for 2024. Now, this is currently what the field of candidates is, minus Jill Stein. Um, Looking at this is very much what could be a general election case scenario with a few third-party candidates running. So we have the Democrat nominee for president, Joe Biden, who's very much looking like he will be the nominee for president unless, something serious happens, and the Republican nominee for Trump, which is pretty similar to Joe Biden, pretty set in stone. Of course, there are a few primary opponents to Biden, but it is looking like Trump is going to be the nominee. 95% confident with that. He's up 40 points in essentially every single primary state, national primary, everything. I don't really think Nikki Haley, Ron DeSantis, any of them have a chance against Trump. He's, in my mind, going to be the Republican nominee. For third party, I have the third party color here. I'm probably not going to give these people any states, but it is there in case they do end up getting states. Um, so we have Robert Kennedy Jr., the son of RFK, the nephew of JFK, the former president. Um, Running as a third party candidate, running a relatively successful third party campaign. Although it is still successful, I'm not sure if he's going to end up winning any states. He will end up successfully taking a lot of votes away from both Biden and Trump. In my mind, a little bit more from Biden, which is what I mentioned in my other video, and I have the polling data that I'm going to show about that. And then we also have Cornel West, who is a left wing candidate, much more on the radical on the radical left wing of the party, the Democrats. Joe Biden, much more of a moderate Democrat, considering all things. You would consider Cornel West more of a member of the squad, quote unquote squad. Used to refer to those members in the House. So let's just first off take a look at some of the polling data where we have the actual data of with these candidates in the race. So I believe that if Cornel West is in the race, if RFK Jr. is in the race, it's going to only help Trump. And I can start off with the most recent poll, of course. We have the general election, Trump versus Biden. This is the Emerson poll, Trump up 4. When you include Kennedy and West, of course, Jill Stein, who's also running, I'm not including her in this prediction, though. Trump is up 6 points. You could say Trump's up 5 points if you want to give the 1% from Stein to Biden. You could also say they would go to West. You don't know because they're both very similar, both Green Party, considering running in the Green Party originally. Of course, this has it about the same. Still, Trump is up significantly nationally. And then I wanted to look at some of the polls over here where you can see this is the general election. When you keep adding these candidates, Trump versus Biden, Trump up 6, Trump versus Biden and Kennedy, Trump up 8, Trump versus Biden, Kennedy, West, minus sign, Trump up 9. So all of that, to add to the idea that it would only hurt um, Joe Biden in a general election if RFK Jr. and Cornel West are in contention for that. You have California, Trump, Biden up 13, and then with all the other candidates, Biden up 12, so a slight decrease in Biden support there. I'm looking for that New York poll. I believe the New York poll also corroborates the idea that so here we are on the 20th. This was the 20th by Siena. Biden only up 10 points. I still think Biden's of course going to win these states, but the margins are much smaller than what you would expect. And then you have New York with Biden, Kennedy, and West, and Biden's only up 9 points. West takes a significant portion of the vote. And both Biden and Trump drop significantly. Trump drops 8 points, Biden dropped 9 points. You can see slight drop in Biden. So all this to say, this slightly hurts Joe Biden with all these other candidates in the race. If it ends up being like this in a general election with all of these candidates on the ballot, I do believe Joe Biden will be at an even greater disadvantage. Let's get into our safe Biden states. There aren't going to be many safe Biden states simply because of the amount of candidates that are on the ballot. When you look at the margins of when you look at the margins of which candidate is up in. Biden was up 10 points in California. I'm going to give him it by a safe margin, but it's not going to be, solid. DC, of course, is still going to be a solid Biden. Vermont is pretty solid. Some of these northeastern states, Maryland, Delaware, all very left-wing states. Maine's first congressional district. I'm going to leave New York out of it. I'm going to give Biden the state of Illinois, getting Biden to 112 safe states. The margins for Trump are also going to look a bit poor. I'm leaving Montana out of this. Montana, Trump only won by about 15 points. We have RFK on the ballot, taking some votes away. I'm going to leave Alaska out of it. I'm going to leave a few of these states. I'm going to give Trump Iowa. I'm not going to give Trump Ohio. but West Virginia, of course, goes to Donald Trump. 124 to 112 when we head into the likely states. Now, Cornel West, I'll just tell you right now, Cornel West is not winning any states. He's just taking votes away from Biden. RFK Jr., probably not going to win any states, taking votes both away from Biden and Trump. I believe slightly more from Biden. He is a Democrat. He ran in the Democrat primary. He got about 20% when he was running against Biden before he decided to run as an independent. Some of those people, in my mind, will go for RFK. I think that the ones that are Trump supporters, that are the diehard Trump supporters, no one's switching away from Trump in that Republican base. Possibly some never Trumpers, but in my mind, more Democrats. Likely Biden states to continue. This is Washington and Oregon. New York is going to be a likely state. These northeastern states, not Delaware. I'll put that back in safe. Maine's first congressional district will be the other likely Biden state. Or no, did I give that to safe? All right, I'll just give it to him safe. Likely Trump states. Add on Montana, add on Alaska, Ohio. Give Trump Florida by a likely margin. Give Trump Texas by a likely margin. That's going to be it for the likely Trump states in this scenario, getting him to 218. Lean Biden states. This is going to be Colorado, New Mexico, Virginia, all leaning in Joe Biden's favor, slight leaning. Sorry, I forgot to give Maine second to Trump by a likely margin. But lean, Maine at large will lean in favor of Joe Biden. RFK Jr. is going to take a lot of votes away from Joe Biden in the Northeast, which is why New York and all of those other, Connecticut, New Jersey are likely. Biden will still win in my mind, but RFK, of course, the Kennedys from Massachusetts. Still think mine will be solid there, but they do have that Northeastern appeal. And I do think that they will take votes away from Biden in the Northeast, fairly, decreasing those margins to put those in the likely lean categories. Lean Trump states. This will be Nevada, Arizona, Georgia, North Carolina, and the state of Pennsylvania. So Trump wins the election, 287 electoral votes. I'm also going to give Trump the state of Wisconsin the 297 electoral votes. A lot of lean Trump states. And this is what we're seeing in the polls right now. Keep in mind that my election prediction is based off of currently the data that we're receiving, currently the state of the country. So this is not what I think it's going to be a year from now, or what I'm like, hypothetically, this and that will happen, and 1 year from now, Joe Biden will win in a landslide. Maybe Joe Biden will win in a landslide, but this is my prediction based off of what's happening right now. When you look at the polls right now, Trump is up considerably in Wisconsin and Pennsylvania. He's up, in some instances, 4 or 5 points. Do I think he'll win by 4 or 5 points? Probably not. He could win by 2 points, possibly, in those states. 3 points. And that's what that's what would happen right now if the election were held today. So yeah, don't say that this is what's going to happen. This is not my prediction about what's happening in 1 year. This is my prediction if the election were held today. Anyway, I don't want to belabor that point. Tilt Biden states. I'm going to give Minnesota a tilt. You know what? I'll give Biden lean Minnesota. I think tilt's a little bit too far. I'm going to give Biden New Hampshire by a tilt margin. I still think that he'll win there, but RFK is going to take a lot of votes away from him, getting Biden to 225. And then the final state of Michigan will tilt in Trump's column. I'm missing one. Nebraska second. Biden, I think, will tilt that one in his category, 226. So Trump gets 312 electoral votes. When you look back at 2020, the Rust Belt mirrors a lot of the margins that we saw. Biden won Pennsylvania by about, I think it was 2%. Maybe it was slightly less. Let's just take a look right now. Pennsylvania, Biden won. Oh, only by 1%. So when you look at the margins, Biden, I don't know what that is. Biden won Wisconsin and Pennsylvania by the smallest margins. So it makes sense that Trump would win these by lean margins at this point if it's flipping. And then Michigan, he won by about 2.5%. And he's winning, and Trump would tilt Michigan. Minnesota would still be a lean state. Biden won that by about 6-7%. And Virginia, surprisingly, is looking like it's shifting slightly more Republican. That could be because of Glenn Youngkin having an effect in the state. But do I think that Virginia will vote for Trump? Probably not. I don't think that the suburban women really would come out in favor of Trump. Probably more so in favor of Haley. She's doing incredible against Joe Biden nationally, but she's not going to be the nominee, so that really doesn't matter. I made my election prediction about that already. But Virginia would be much closer if Haley were the nominee. Trump being the nominee, it's going to be harder, but RFK Jr. still would take votes away from there. So anyway, my final election prediction has Donald Trump winning the presidency at this point in time. 312 electoral votes, Joe Biden 226. As I've said and stated in my previous videos, I really just don't think that Joe Biden at this point will win the presidency. He's doing very poorly in the polls. Of course, so many things can change in basically 12 months, slightly less than 12 months at this point. So, can Joe Biden become the president next year or be reelected? Of course he can. It's still on the table. People should not be setting in stone that Trump will be the president again. But at this point, Trump is looking very confident going into the general election. Now, I've already said, and I will continue to say, I just don't think that Biden, I just don't think he should be the nominee for the Democrats. I think it should be somebody like Gavin Newsom or Michelle Obama, both of whom more skilled politicians and I think would do better nationally. I did the Trump versus Newsom matchup. And while Trump still won at this point, Gavin Newsom, in my mind, still did better nationally across the board. Anyway, that's all I have to say. Thank you for watching this video. Please make sure to go ahead and subscribe to my YouTube channel below. Comment below your thoughts on my election prediction. I will do my best to look at the comments and respond to each of you guys' suggestions and thoughts on this prediction. But yeah, like the video, subscribe, and have a good day. I'll see you all soon.